You ever have one of those days where your worst nightmare just shows up wearing a smile and a clipboard? Yeah, that was me. The morning the HOA president from my neighborhood marched right into my office, fired me on the spot in front of everyone, and declared I didn't belong in her building. She said I should just pack up and leave these fine people alone like I was some stain on her perfect little world. The punchline: the whole time, nobody in that room had any idea I actually owned the entire building. But you know what? Let me back up a sec, because my war with Karen, the self-proclaimed queen of Oak Hollow, didn't start there. No, it all started the day she stood on my lawn, arms crossed and lips pursed, sizing up my mailbox like it was a personal insult to her ancestors. We'd barely finished unpacking. 3 days in the house, and there she was, flanked by her silent bulldog of a husband. Richard arms like Ham's face, like a malfunctioning printer. I could see right then this wasn't a friendly welcome. It was a warning shot. "Are you the new owner?" Karen's voice was sharp, all thin ice and sharper intentions. I just tried to keep it neighborly, introduce myself as Jack. Richard grunted, eyeing my yard, my car probably judging my shoes. "I'm Karen, president of the Oak Hollow HOA. You ever hear a phrase that makes your blood run cold?" That was it. Mary. My wife and I had read the HOA rules before we bought. They looked manageable. Stuff about grass height, mailbox styles. No neon pink houses. We thought we could handle it. Karen didn't even wait to get to know us. She pointed at my mailbox like she'd caught it committing tax fraud. "That's a violation," she sniffed, pen-tapping her clipboard. "Section 7, Article 4, Model 4B only. You've got an 8F, not allowed." For a second, I honestly thought she was kidding. "It's a mailbox. It holds mail, right?" "Apparently not unless it's HOA certified. Rules are rules," she said, voice dripping with that fake patience only people who love power have. Richard took a step forward, just enough to let me know he could squash me like a grape if he felt like it. I tried to play along. "Where do I get this official mailbox?" Karen's face lit up real smug. "Through the HOA, of course. $300 including installation. $300 for a mailbox I just put in myself for $20 and an hour of sweat." Richard uncrossed his arms, rumbled, "That's the price." It wasn't a conversation, it was a stick-up with paperwork. "7 days to comply," Karen chirped, "or it's a $50 a day fine." As they marched away, I watched them stop and point out Mrs. Gable's garden gnomes across the street, probably lining up their next target. I just stood there, hose in hand, feeling the first cold knot in my stomach. This wasn't about rules. It was about control. But let me tell you why Mary and I moved to Oak Hollow in the first place. 2 years living in the city had us ready to snap. Sirens all night, the smell of car exhaust, the joy of staring at the brick wall outside your only window. Mary's a painter. She dreamed of a sunroom, a garden, birds instead of horns. I work from home, data analyst, boring as toast, but it pays the bills. We scrimped and saved for years for a little peace and quiet. That house on Chestnut Lane, sunroom, big yard, woods out back, was everything we wanted. The look on Mary's face when we moved in, man, you can't put a price on that. For a week, we had peace. Painted the sunroom yellow, met Buddy George, a retired mailman who's lived there since the dawn of time, tells stories so wild you half believe he invented the HOA rules just to have something to complain about. "Used to be nice around here," he told me, "until Karen took over. Now it's all rules. Watch out for your petunias, son." I thought he was exaggerating until the mailbox incident. That night I sat down with the HOA handbook, 300 pages of soul-killing legalese. My highlighter died halfway through. Rules about everything. Grass height, porch decorations, acceptable colors for light fixtures. The more I read, the more I realized this wasn't about community. It was a power trip. Mary was crushed, her door painting project, unapproved color, more fines. She just wanted to live paint breathe. They wanted to break us. And then the twist nobody saw coming. The fines kept stacking up. Every morning another ticket grass, 0.1 inches too high, oil stain on the driveway, a kid's ball left on the lawn. Buddy George tried to lighten the mood, offered to play bagpipes at 3 a.m. like his nephew did to annoy a landlord. But Mary stopped painting. We started feeling trapped in our own home. I decided to fight back the only way I knew, digging for data. I pulled public records, HOA tax filings, foreclosure notices. Something weird popped up. The HOA owned 3 houses in the neighborhood, all seized after a string of petty fines. Why owning property is a money pit for an HOA? Unless it's not about money, it's about power, about keeping the right people in and the rest out. Then came the real bombshell, a late-night email from an anonymous source with a bank statement attached. The HOA was making huge payments, $5,000 a month, to a shell company, Suburban Beautification Projects, LLC, registered to, you guessed it, one of the foreclosed homes. Suddenly, this wasn't just HOA tyranny, it was fraud, money laundering, maybe worse. I started documenting everything, sent a certified letter requesting financials. Next thing I know, Richard's on my porch making threats thinly veiled as advice. That night, another email, this one with a photo of Mary walking the dog. The message was clear: back off or else. But I couldn't. Not after what I'd found. Here's where things get wild. I decided I had to get inside that house. Yeah, I know I'm no secret agent. But I broke in through the basement one night, heart-pounding phone, flashlight shaking in my hand. Chemicals, gift cards, machines, an actual money laundering lab hidden under our noses. But upstairs behind a heavy locked door was something different. A little girl's room, perfectly preserved, and a diary. Karen and Richard's daughter Lily had died of cancer. The debt, the grief, the desperation, it had twisted them. The whole HOA operation, the fines, the foreclosures, the shell company, it was all to fund a foundation for cancer research, the Lilly Foundation. So there I stood, evidence in hand, facing the worst kind of gray area. Were they monsters or just broken parents clinging to a purpose? I brought it all to the annual HOA meeting, charts, maps, public documents, everything but the photos I'd taken inside the house. Karen tried to stop me, but the room was already turning. Richard tried to block me in the parking lot. There was even a car chase, I kid you not, through the sleepy streets of Oak Hollow. Buddy George, bless him, got caught in the crossfire, his 7-layer dip flying through the air as Richard crashed into the community garden roses. I made it to the clubhouse with seconds to spare, crowd buzzing with anger and disbelief as I laid out every last fact. Then police. Mary had called them. Karen and Richard were arrested right there, their kingdom of lies collapsing in front of the neighbors they'd terrorized for years. But in the end, they weren't monsters. Just 2 people wrecked by grief, willing to burn the world down for a lost child. Afterward, the HOA was disbanded, the stolen houses returned, the fines refunded. Mary's sunroom is full of light again. Sometimes I look at our quiet street and wonder, where's the line between fighting for justice and losing your own soul? You ever been through a war like that? Yeah, me neither. But I can tell you this much. Power always finds a way to hide in plain sight, and sometimes the real story isn't about villains or heroes. It's about the mess we make trying to fix what we've lost. So what would you have done? Would you go all the way to defend your home or forgive, knowing what you know now? Let me know down below. I've got my own thoughts, but I'd love to hear yours.